Welcome to this video on algebra word problems involving coins. Before we get to those kind of word problems, let's just look at the value of coins. The number of coins times the value of each coin is equal to the total value of the coins. For example, find the value of 3 dimes and 4 quarters. 3 dimes and 4 quarters. Well, again, it's the number of coins times the value of each coin is equal to the total value of the coins. So we have 3 dimes. How much is a dime worth? Right, 10 cents. And a quarter? Yeah, 25 cents. So 3 dimes and 4 quarters. We're going to multiply 3 times 10 cents. 3 dimes would be 30 cents. And 4 quarters? 4 times 25 cents, that's $1. So 3 times 10 cents plus 4 times 25 cents. That's 30 cents and $1. And that adds up to $1.30. So our total value of a number of coins is equal to how many there are times the value of that coin. Okay. So now let's get to our procedures for solving word problems involving coins. Number 1, write down the unknowns. If we're doing a problem that involves length and width, we wrote down length and width. Here we're doing a problem that involves coins. So if it's nickels, dimes, and quarters, then just write down nickels, dimes, and quarters. So that's our first step. Always write down the unknowns. What are we trying to find? Determine the unknown which is being referred to. Let this unknown be x. So from our unknowns, we have to figure out which one is going to be x. It's usually second in the sentence. They're referring to it. They're telling you about one in reference to that unknown. Then write expressions for the other unknowns by translating the sentences which describe them. Write down the formula for the value of coins. A nickel is 5 cents, so 0.05, not 5, but 0.05, and not 0.5, times n, plus 0.10 times d, plus 0.25 times q, is equal to t. N is nickels, d is dimes, q is quarters, and t is the total. This is our equation that we're going to use for nickels, dimes, and quarters. Substitute the expressions from step 2 here. Substitute the expressions into the formula and replace t with the total value given. If a coin is not given, then simply delete the product in the formula which contains that coin. For example, if there are no quarters, then the formula is 0.05 times n plus 0.10 times d is equal to t. So there's no quarters, we simply delete this part of the equation. If there's no nickels, we delete this part of the equation. Okay, number 5. Solve the equation. Once we're done solving it, we need to make sure that we answer the question. Replace the value found for x into each expression for the unknowns. So we just answer how many nickels, dimes, and quarters there are. And then last, check the answer using the values found in the formula. So that's what's great about word problems. We could check our answer and make sure it makes sense. Okay, here's our first problem. Colin has a collection of nickels and dimes with $2.75. If he has 7 less dimes than nickels, how many of each coin does he have? Okay, what's our first step? Write down the unknowns. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find how many nickels there are and how many dimes there are. No quarters in this problem. We'll write down nickels and dimes. Next, we need to figure out which one is going to be x. It's always the one that's being referred to in the sentence. If he has 7 less dimes than nickels, there it is. It's always second in that sentence. They're telling you about dimes, but it's in reference to nickels. So nickels is going to be x. So now we need to translate and write down an expression for dimes. He has 7 less dimes than nickels. 7 less. Less, that's subtraction, and we have to reverse the order. The 7 goes at the end. We can't write 7 minus x because subtraction is not commutative. Less than and subtracted from are two of those phrases where we have to reverse the order. Next, we'll write down our equation. There's no quarters, so we don't need the 0.25q here. Now we're going to replace n with x and d with x minus 7. Okay, so we have an equation with decimals. If you could use a calculator, maybe just leave it. If you cannot use a calculator, it may be easier to get rid of decimals by clearing them, multiplying both sides by a number, which makes each of these numbers whole numbers. Since there's 2 places, the appropriate number would be 100. So multiply both sides by 100. When you multiply this left side by 100, you have to distribute this 100 to both of these products. Okay, now what's 100 times 0.05? That'll just be 5. And 100 times 0.10 times 0.10, that'll be just 10. And 100 times 2.75 is 275. Okay, so I showed this step here. If I was doing a bunch of problems for homework, I probably would just skip this step. You be your own judge. You could simply just move the decimal point over 2 places for this 0.05 and the 0.10 and the 2.75. Okay, so now we'll distribute the 10, add like terms, and if it's going too fast, make sure you just pause the video and work at your own pace so that you can solve it. Add 70 to both sides. Add those two numbers. That gives us 345. Now we're going to divide by 15 on both sides. The answer has to come out to be a whole number. Why? Because it's x stands for the number of nickels. Can you have 2.5 nickels? No. Can you have -8 nickels? No. It has to be a whole number, not negative, not a fraction. It has to be a whole number. So when you do that division, you should get 23. Now we could answer our question. The number of nickels, that's x. So x is 23, so there are 23 nickels. The number of dimes is x minus 7, so 23 minus 7, which is 16. So there are 23 nickels and 16 dimes. What's great is we can really verify our answer by checking that. Remember, a nickel's worth 5 cents, dime's worth 10 cents. So 23 times 0.05, 16 times 0.10, and that better equal 275. 23 times 5 cents is $1.15, and 16 times 10 cents is $1.60, and that does add up to 275. so we could feel confident that our answer is correct. Okay, let's go on to one more problem. Blanca has a collection of nickels, dimes, and quarters worth $15.45. Okay, we might as well just, before we keep reading, let's just write that down. Nickels, dimes, and quarters. Actually, the best procedure is read the whole problem, get a general idea of it, and then take it one step at a time. So nickels, dimes, and quarters. So we're going to write that down. She has 10 more nickels than dimes. There it is. Which one is going to be X? Right, the dimes. She has 10 more nickels than dimes. So what will nickels be? Right, X plus 10. You can write 10 plus X because addition is commutative, so the order doesn't matter. But I think it looks better if we put the X first, X plus 10. Now for quarters, we have one more. Twice as many quarters as dimes. Twice as many quarters as dimes. So if dimes is X, what is quarters? Yeah, 2X. Okay, let's write down our equation. This time we do have quarters. 0.05n, 0.10d, 0.25q. We're going to replace n with the x plus 10, d with the x, q with a 2x. You might want to pause the video and just go ahead and solve it yourself, or we'll just keep going. So we replace those expressions for each of these letters. Okay, now we're going to multiply both sides by 100 again, but I'm not going to write down the 100. We're just going to move the decimal point over 2 places in each product. 2 places here, 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 and here. So that 0.05 just becomes 5, 0.10 just becomes 10, 0.25 becomes 25, 15.45 becomes 1545. Distribute. Add like terms. Okay, subtract 50 on both sides. And then we just divide by 65. And this is a key moment right here. If that doesn't come out to be a whole number, then we've made a mistake somewhere. Maybe we made a mistake here, or in our calculations, adding like terms, but this has to come out to be a whole number. So divide 16 into 1495, and it comes out to be 23. 23 again. Coincidence. Okay, so that had to come out to be a whole number. Now we can answer our question. Nickels, we'll put that 23 in place of the 10. Sorry, we'll put that 23 in place of X, so 23 plus 10. There's 33 nickels. 23 in place of this X for dimes. So that's just simply 23. And 23 in place of this X for our quarters. So 2 times 23 is 46. 33 nickels, 23 dimes, and 46 quarters. I'll leave you to do the check if you like to, but it's the correct answer. Okay, that'll be it for this video.